Live from the Pleasure Palace, it's the Vicious and Delicious podcast starring myself, the essence of excellence, Mr. Blackstone. Of course, I got my podcast partner in crime, the excessive overlord himself, Mr. Big Rob. How's the folks, Big Rob?
It is season finale time. This your man, Big Rob, aka the excessive overlord.
Yes, sir.
The sneaker goat.
Yes, sir.
Racist Voorhees.
Yes, sir.
The illegitimate son of Morris Day, because my mama had that jungle love.
O-E-O.
Robert Atwood, the creator and star of hit Hulu TV series A Real Nigga's Tale, season 6 this summer.
This summer.
The Pied Piper of PPP loans.
The Pied Piper.
The Elon Musk of EBT cars.
EBT.
The dance hall derelict, Hawaiian Pond McCoffee.
One pound of real
Reverend Jackson, because I people selling for the paper like a Creflo Dollar.
Creflo Dollar.
And for a very special episode today, you can call me Robert Jackson Esquire. And I'm lawyering this thing this week.
That's right, y'all. We got a special finale episode for y'all for episode 12 of season 3. We'd like to welcome you guys to the Pleasure Palace People's Court, a.k.a. the Court of Public Opinion.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. So if you haven't been living under a rock for the last 2 days, we already know.
No pun intended.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Today, the plaintiff and the defendant will be a Mr. Chris Rock, who will serve as the plaintiff, and the defendant will be Mr. Will Smith. The crime will be assault in a public place.
A very public place.
With a misdemeanor in public humiliation. Let's say that.
I like it. I almost said emasculation, but nah, that's a little too far.
Let's not go that far.
Yeah, that's a little too far.
Representing the defense, we have Big Rob Esquire. And representing the prosecution, we have Big Rob Esquire. And representing the defense, we have myself, Blackstone. So, what we're going to do is we're going to basically, Big Rob has his argument for Chris Rock's being in the right with what he did, and I'll basically defending Will Smith for his actions, which took play at the Oscars Sunday.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and get into opening arguments. Big Rob, please take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I'd like to tell you a story. Sunday, March 27th, 2022, the 94th Annual Academy Awards. After years of no hosts and bad hosts and telling people that they was wrong and it was the wrong movie, we had a moment where one of the greatest comedians of all time, my client, Mr. Rock here, this manager, he did what he does best and he told a joke. A very edgy joke. Some might say it was in poor taste, some might say it was in great taste. I'm not here to play that. I'm just here to say that what Mr. Rock did was do what he does best, and that is tell jokes and humor people. And that's what he's been doing for almost 40 years at this point, until his client, the callous William Christopher Smith III, attacked him maliciously in front of the world, embarrassing him, emasculating him, and proving that possibly everybody does hate Chris, and I will not stand for it, Your Honor.
What's the question?
No, the defense.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Court of Opinion, my name is Black Snow, and I am representing Willow Smith, if you don't know that's his real name. What I would like to prove today, without a shadow of a doubt, is that Will Smith is a righteous man, a practical man, and from all standing, a upright citizen in the world, and one of the most moral stars
he's leaving.
in Hollywood. Sustained. This is not you can't object yet. Most moral compasses in Hollywood today. As you know, and you probably saw what happened Sunday night. The words were exchanged while Mr. Rock was on stage. He told a callous joke about Miss Smith, Will Smith's wife, Jada. And what I would like to prove that Will Smith acted out of love and passion to defend the honor of his wife. We'll move on, Your Honor. Let's go to presenting evidence.
I present to you Exhibit A, the Academy Awards, an award show put on television to entertain the masses. And one thing that's done is by bringing all other celebrities, including in my personal opinion, the fifth greatest stand-up comedian of all time, my client, Mr. Rock. Now, when he did that, he, possibly was surveyed the audience, looked across, and saw his friend and colleague, one Jada Pinkett Smith, and made a off-color remark about the quality of her follicles, comparing her to Demi Moore of the classic film G.I. Jane, where she could star in the sequel and will possibly do a great job because she's a great actress.
Objection.
Sustained.
Standing. Stay on subject.
Withdrawn. He, and I quote, said, Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see you. Now, at this moment, the world and Mr. Smith himself proceeded to guffaw in laughter. He was holding his stomach, wiping tears out of his eyes. He thought he enjoyed it. But until a moment so evil, so callous, he got out of his seat, stood up in his well-tailored suit, walked the stage, and assaulted my client.
Objection.
By opening his hand and smacking him across the face. I heard an objection somewhere.
Objection. The prosecution is placing blame before trial.
Withdrawn. You're a witness?
Ladies and gentlemen, my friends, I'm glad to have you guys here. Let us talk about the evidence, because we all saw it. Social media, even if you didn't see it live. What happened between Mr. Rock and my client, Mr. Smith. You heard the words that were said, the joke, the callous joke, poking fun at his wife, Miss Smith. I would like to add this to the evidence, if I may. We will go back 5 years to Chris Rock when he hosted the Oscars, and this segment where he told this joke about the boycott Miss Smith tried to put on the Oscars for the lack of representation of African American.
Objection. Relevancy, please.
Relevant because I will allow the court to and the jury to see that this college joke is based off a history of spite and practical bad feelings towards Mr. Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith.
Objection, that's hearsay.
It's not hearsay, we have a tape of that. We're going to submit that to evidence. Anyway, back to what I was saying. My friends, who is Will Smith? Let's analyze the person, Will Smith. Will Smith is probably in the top 5 blockbuster single actors in the world today. He has been nominated before for Oscars, has never won. His first Oscar nomination came from the movie Ali, if you guys remember, back in the 2000s, early 2000s, I should say. And before that, Will Smith has been known for movies such as Independence Day, Men in Black 1, 2, and 1 and 2. And 3. Excuse me. Hancock. And many more movies just like that. Enemy Mistake. I Am Legend. But let's stay on task. Will Smith, besides that, his acting accolades, is also a humanitarian. He's also a pillar of the community. And before this unfortunate incident, has basically had no dealings with any kind of assaults, any kind of, bad press or anything like that. He's been, for the most part, an upright role model for all people to follow. Now, I direct my questioning to Mr. Rock. Mr. Rock is, as you know, by profession, a stand-up comedian, or comedian you might want to say. He's been in movies. He got to start in, doing stand-up, SNL. He's known for his sharp wit, and he's been known to kind of dig into, let's say, his subjects of his comedy, especially celebrities. He has a past of hosting the events like this. He's hosted the MTV Awards. He's hosted, like I said, the Oscars before, and he's been in his fair amount of roast, which this sort of needling is warranted. But like we said, we are at the Oscars. The shining pillar of the Academy of Performing Arts, and this is not necessarily Def Jam or Def Comedy Jam or any place like that. This is a place of class and some kind of a sense of let's say without saying a certain air of elegance is expected.
The upper crust.
Anyway, the joke is, as the plaintiff has said, the prosecution said the joke was pertaining to Mr. Smith's wife's hair. The reason why Jada Pinkett Smith's hair is that way, such a short and low cut, which actually looks very wonderful on her, I might want to add, is actually because Jada has, and she has publicly let the world know that she suffers from the autoimmune disorder alopecia, which means your body attacks the hair follicles on your head and other areas sometimes too, which causes bald spots, hair loss, and that sort of thing. And when Mr. Rock made this terrible joke about Mrs. Smith's ailment, my client, Mr. Smith, he took cause to that, as a black married man. And I want to add, Jada and Will have been married for over 20 years. And they're one of the pillars of, marriage in the world, going on, relationships and things like that. And being very open about their relationship. The troubles and the ups and downs and things like that. Anyway, when the joke was told, Mr. Smith, my client, took upon himself to defend his wife's honor. Now, I don't know who's anybody out there listening to this who's married or in a long-term relationship with their spouse, but certain things are not, say, kosher to say about one's spouse, especially in a public setting, especially from someone you thought was your friend. In this case, Mr. Rock. Mr. Rock and Mr. Smith have a relationship going back to the days of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which ran in the early '90s, and they've never been in any other project before besides that show, but they've been friendly for most of the time, and I believe they are, if not close friends, close associates. So it's to my belief that Mr. Rock did know about Miss Smith's ailment, and to make fun of that was a blow to my client's, his heart, being that a person he's friendly with, he would say something about his wife in such a public setting. So you saw what happened. We don't really need to get into that, but my client did what he did. But we are here to just in the court of public opinion, my client was just enacting the way he did because it was a callous act of a cowardly man to talk about a woman's ailment like that. So my client did what he had to do, and I believe you guys, when you look at the evidence, he was in his full right to do just that. And I'll rest my case on that.
Thank you for that, Mr. Smith. There are a lot of adjectives about one Will Christopher Smith. Rapper, actor, basketball aficionado, cheesecake enthusiast, and now Academy Award winner. But can we also bring in secret assaulter? Because last Sunday's incident was not the first time that one Mr. Smith has been in an altercation. It's not even his first altercation after the Academy Awards. Shall I take you back 20 years to the 2002 Academy Awards, where Mr. Smith was up for his prize portrayal of Muhammad Ali, where he lost to the more deserving Denzel Washington for Training Day. And apparently, a very close source of me confirmed that Mr. Smith and one Ethan Hawke got into an altercation backstage at the Academy Awards after the Best Oscar nominee was handed out.
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Yes, hear me say this. I can go back even further. Or in fact, I'll go back even more to recent times. The movie premiere of After Earth. Mr. Smith was on the red carpet and violently assaulted a man who only wanted to show his physical love in the most physical way possible.
Objection, that man assaulted my client.
And I'll take you back even further. One more. Where Mr. Smith openly said on record that he could beat Mike Tyson, then the heavyweight champion of the world. That is an egregious lie and shows the character of Mr. Smith.
Objection. Mike Tyson actually appeared in that video. It was parody.
Sustained. And also, let's not forget this. One day in the year 1990, Mr. Smith was playing basketball at the court. They got in one little fight, and apparently his mother got scared and sent him to live in Bel Air with a violent aunt and uncle who taught him these evil ways and made him assault my client. Will Smith is a monster. He killed a bunch of vampires that were just living their own life in the community in I Am Legend if you look at the deleted ending. But other than that, I love the guy. The prosecution rests for now. You're a witness.
My friends, let's take a deep look into the movie career of one Christopher Rock. Chris Rock has been in a numerous amount of, let's just call them Hollywood bombs. You guys, we have to talk about Head of State, which was a colossal flop.
Objection, that movie predicted the political rise of Barack Obama. We're all better people for it.
Sustained. We have to remember his other movies. In this case, probably one of the worst movies that ever come out. Pootie Tang.
Objection. I know personally that my fellow lawyer loves Pootie Tang and watches it on a weekly basis.
I don't tell you, I'm a sip of tie down. Nobody knew what he meant when he said these things. And I have to also add that Chris Rock wrote and produced this movie, which was utter trash and forgettable. Also, do you not think the fact that Mr. Rock, with so many failed box office movies, did he not have a grudge against my client, Mr. Smith? There's a term that used to be used in the summer blockbuster season. Everybody knows in the summer all the blockbuster movies come out. Everybody's out. It's summertime. The heat. Kids are out of school. What a great time to go with your family and watch a movie. And my client, in his heyday, and even still now, dominated the summer box office. They used to call it Big Willie Weekend, if you guys can remember. They never called it Big Chris Weekend. In fact, Mr. Rock had to bring in all his friends from SNL to even have a hit movie.
I believe you can forgive CB4, which is a comedy classic.
CB4 was trash.
He also watched that movie weekly as well. It also predicted the rise of many of Karen rappers. So whatever.
We also need to look at the fact that Will Smith is a family man. He's so famous that all his offspring are now famous in utero due to the fact that him and Jada are so famous.
Untalented, by the way. Except Jada. But
sustain. I withdraw. Also, we need to look at the fact that the world saw this heinous action, and the world has already made their mind up as it seems. If you watch the memes, you look at your social media, you get on your Twitter, you see that people have, of all walks of life, have come from all different angles to either place blame on my client and for some reason his wife, which makes absolutely no sense because she's the victim here when it comes to this heinous, critical, disgusting joke that Mr. Rock placed upon her. The woman has a disease, by God's sakes. Anyway, we've heard it all. Blaming the black woman, saying that she's demonizing her, saying that she is responsible for Mr. Smith's action, like she manipulated him into getting up there and smacking the taste out of Mr. Rock's mouth, which he full-heartedly deserved at the time. That woman sat there and heard that heinous joke, and her face squinted up, and her husband, being a loving protector of his woman, saw that face and kindly got up, fixed his coat, smiled, walked up to that stage, smiled at Mr. Rock, turned his hand around and backhanded the shit out of him, looked at him in the face, fixed his coat button, walked away, smiling again, and sat down. And we all heard it, what he said to Mr. Rock after he said, "Damn, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me." And Will said, "Yes. Keep
admitting to his crime."
Excuse me. I'm talking. Mr. Smith said, "Yes. Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth." And he said it again. The same thing. "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth." And what did Mr. Rock say? He said, "I will." Point given, point taken, issue fixed. I rest my case.
My client was attacked for giving his First Amendment right to make fun of someone's wife. What's next? Will Louis C.K. be attacked? Actually, I wouldn't mind that. Will other quality comedians that haven't done disgusting things with assistants behind private doors be attacked for their opinions? What do you tell me that Dave Chappelle will be in? Okay, scratch that. D.L. Hughley will get in trouble? All right, never mind. The point is, Chris Rock was slapped and it wasn't fair.
It wasn't fair.
He got slapped by a man in black.
It was fair. He stood right there and took it, didn't he? He didn't raise a hand back.
Because he has decorum. He knew that I can't beat up the first person in front of all these white people. He got kids watching. They'll take his show off HBO Max and replace it with Everybody Hates Chris. You know what? You should have slapped him back.
Objection. Chris Rock had never had a problem saying obscure things in front of children.
That's also true.
Let's also talk about the fact that Mr. Rock had the reputation in Hollywood for being callous and saying cutting words to celebrities at these sort of functions. We also would call this a history of violence, verbal violence in this sense, and maybe this is just finally him getting his comeuppance from years and years of this kind of abuse that stars had to take. But my client had the balls to get up there and defend his wife and smack the taste out of Mr. Rock's gap teeth.
I understand that Mr. Smith loves his wife. Also, I've heard that a lot of people love Mr. Smith's wife. Don't come over here.
Objection.
But to interrupt the most prestigious honor in Hollywood, an institution that Mr. Smith claims to respect, and they respect him enough to give him an Academy Award, well deserved by the way, I'm not knocking that, shows how callous he really is. To get up and walk across the stage and slap an innocent man who was only doing his job, telling a joke. I can understand if he called Will Smith and said, I can also understand if Chris Rock wasn't a comedian and was just some guy like Lindsey Graham trying to denigrate a black woman. I can understand. He deserved to be slapped for it. But to do this at the Academy Awards, an award show that Chris Rock has hosted twice, and is one of the greatest hosts of all time, and is one of the greatest comedians of all time. He didn't deserve this. What's the objection?
Opinion.
Fair enough. He didn't deserve this, nor does any comedian deserve this, short of maybe Jim Brewer. But while I am a personal fan of Mr. Smith, as is Black Snow, I am a personal fan of Chris Rock, as is Black Snow. This moment did not need to happen. I mean, except for the show, we needed it to happen because this is just a great moment in time. But in terms of the court, this moment did not need to happen. As two of our greatest of all time are embroiled in a beef. The lights have not been seen since probably an episode of Arrested Development I'm not thinking of right now. My point is this. Mr. Rock is a touring comedian. His job is to entertain and possibly insult members of the audience. If that audience member happens to be Jada Pinkett Smith, so be it. She's a big girl. She outlived Cleo, TT, and Frankie. She's big enough to survive this. You're witness, sir.
My friends, I would like to add this and put it on your minds, members of the conscious jury, people out here listening at this moment. What makes a man a man? What makes a man a husband? What makes a husband a he-man? Mr. Smith, my client, with all the accolades and all the awards and all the nice things you guys know about him and all the nice things I've said about him, at the end of the day, he's human. He's just a person like you or me or that person you know down the street. Regular people like us. Mr. Smith did not come to the Academy Awards, and his wife didn't come to the Academy Awards to be berated, insulted by a member of his own community, to be treated as anything else but a equal member of the Academy. Mr. Rock, yes, is a comedian, and yes, he was there to present. He was not the host that night. He could have left the jokes at home. His job was to present an award. But he took it on himself to add a little flavor, as we say in the streets, to the mix.
We can agree the Oscar needs that.
A little diversity, and make the comment, or how the prosecutions called it, a joke, at the expense of that man's wife, Miss Jada Pinkett Smith. And while we're talking about Miss Smith, let's talk about her and what a pillar community she is.
Yeah, let's talk about her.
An independent woman, a strong black woman, who never folded into be anything besides herself in the community of Hollywood, which is hard for black people to do. Made her own lane, with her husband being Will Smith, but made her own lane. Partnered up with her husband, because that's what married people are supposed to do. Made their own production company called Willowbrook Entertainment. Produced, wrote many shows, many TV, made-for-TV movies, all that, as a team. Because that's what a marriage is, a team. And I didn't want to put this out there, but y'all might as well already know. The plaintiff's not even married. He don't know nothing about this stuff. How could he even speak on something like that? He doesn't have a partnership like that. Well, I mean, he kind of does, but he's not married. How can he speak on what a married man would do in that certain situation? Anyway, I digress.
Objection. Segue. Mr. Rock was married previously.
I wasn't there, doctor.
Oh, wow.
Excuse me. Miss Smith.
Let's want that on record. He was married.
Miss Smith and Mr. and Mrs. Smith have been married, like I said, for over 20 years. Yes, Mr. Smith was married before, but that relationship did not work. But, even in hindsight, him and that woman are still close friends, and Jada Pinkett Smith stepped up and became a second mother to that first child, which only speaks to her character. Because every woman is not going to do that with somebody else's child. Let's talk on the black folks. Let's talk about it. Anyway, Jada has been there for her husband for 20 years. Through the thickness, through thin, through what they call an entanglement, which is not fair because the Smith family took upon themselves to be candid with the world, us, with their own relations. They didn't have to do that.
Shouldn't have.
They didn't have to tell us what was going on. But in the end of the day, all that passed and flew by. And guess what? They are still married to this day. Some of y'all ain't married since that happened and today. So what does that say about their relationship? If they can get through that. If it really was what everybody said it was. Anyway, Mr. Rock, are you still married? Us. Exactly. I rest my case.
Chris Rock's marital status is irrelevant to this situation.
I disagree.
Well, I will say this. Chris Rock is a hard-working man. He's been that way since he was 14 years old. And he even had to do that when he became the breadwinner of his family after the tragic death of his father in 1989. What was Mr. Smith doing in 1989? Blowing all of his money and having to move back in with his parents. While Chris Rock was taking care of 8 kids and telling jokes on the side. So, making it to the stage of the Oscars, that's him winning the Super Bowl. And imagine at the Super Bowl, if Tom Brady won, and out of the blue, some dude ran into the stands and smacked the shit out of him. Actually, that'd be awesome. But anyway, Chris Rock didn't deserve to be smacked. Just like Mrs. Pinkett didn't deserve to be talked about in such a manner. Just like Will Smith didn't need to cry when he made his acceptance speech in his fake apology to the Academy.
Objection. Opinion.
Fair enough. That's pretty true. But the main point is, Mr. Rock is traumatized by this matter. He's so traumatized that he's had to change his current stand-up tour to add more dates to make up for the money he's made from this situation.
That sounds like a good thing to me.
Yeah.
Seems like beneficiary to the Mr. Rock.
Possibly. But the fact that Mr. Smith still holds this harboring grudge based on a previous joke from 5 years earlier proves to how much malice Will Smith has in his heart. No matter what he tells you about getting jiggy with it and being in the summertime, he'd rather boom, boom, shake the room and smack an innocent man in the face in front of the world. And then use profane language on a Sunday, which we all know is the Lord's Day. I mean, sure, it was Oscars and God was probably off that night, but still. Will Smith is a great man who had a bad moment. And that moment led to the degradation of my client, who has never done anything wrong to another person in his life. Except when he stole Gusto's identity and made him. Yes, but that's beside the point. And you want to talk about bad movies. Can we discuss The Legend of Bagger Vance? I rest my case.
Put
Better than Bagger Vance.
Okay. I would like to move to closing arguments. My friends, we've been here. I hate to take so much time. With an open and shut case. All my homies know what's going on with this. All my married compadres, good husbands, protectors, lovers, breadwinners, supporters. We know what's going on. There's a rule out here in these mean streets of Oklahoma City. The South Side knows about it. The North Side knows about it. The West Side knows about it. And the East Side knows about it. It's internationally known in all cultures. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Korean, or all that in between. The rule is, talk shit, get hit. Let me say that again. Talk shit, get hit. Now, we all know about the law. We know about the ordinances, the rules, the court of law. But this is not a court of law. This is a court of opinion. So we'll make sure we put that in there. Yes, this is about the court of opinion. And the court of opinion is about the people. And the people know what's going on. And you know how it rolls in them streets when somebody steps up and gets out of pocket. Gets out of pocket with your wife. That's my wife, dog. That's my wife. You already know what time it is. Either you gonna apologize or you gonna catch these hands. Good, bad, or otherwise. We're going to argue in the car and we're going to get home. We're going to catch these hands real quick. Mr. Rock must have forgotten this fact, being the fact that his wife left him because he was a cheater.
Objection.
Infidelity was his middle name. A serial cheater, he had to go through sex. What they call sex addiction classes or something weird like that. The man has a problem. He's a deviant. But we all know. Anyway, moving on. I want you people to know, and you guys to know, you're out there. If somebody got up in your face, or you told something about your wife or your husband, you be ready to fight. Male or female, you be ready to jump in their mix with no problem, no hesitation. So, think about that when you make your ruling. Think about Mr. Smith, and think about his history. Will Smith has never been called for infidelity. He's never admitted to anything like that. Correct. Has Mr. Smith had the heart to forgive his wife for having her affair? He loved her that much. He forgave her. They were separated. They both had their thing going on, but they stayed together for what? Because they loved each other and they loved their family. It's not infidelity if you're not together. It's called separation for a reason. They're a team. It goes further than marriage. They said to themselves, they didn't consider what they call a marriage. It's a unique unity. They're united. It goes down to the blood, to the marrow, the bone. Chris Rock, he's a wonderful person most of the time. But that night, Sunday, he stepped on a landmine. And that landmine was Big Willie style. And the backhand to the left side of his face. Words hurt, but wounds heal. Two men, unlike two mountains, can come together. And these two men have come together and said their apologies. But in the moment, the heat of the moment, Chris Rock was wrong. And Mr. Smith, he had about enough. And somebody was about to get smacked. And that person was Chris Rock that night. But his face will heal. And the hearts will heal. By all means, and by all premonition, Mr. Smith was right that night. He protected the honor of his wife, the sanctity of his marriage, and he protected his family like you're supposed to do. I rest my case. The defense rests.
Very well done, very well done. A very rousing story. Very complete and thorough examination of
the facts.
The facts and the pain of love and suffering. But let's get to the nitty-gritty of this. Let's talk about the restraint of my client. Because we all know the phrase, talk shit, get hit is very true. But we all know about getting your lick back. Now, had this been the ghetto, the hood, the streets of West Philadelphia or Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Mr. Smith would not have been able to return to his sitcom and then accept an Academy Award for a fabulous performance in a movie I haven't seen yet. We all know that in real life, anybody else would have possibly bludgeoned Will Smith to death with an Academy Award. He might have been the first Best Actor recipient to be in the memoriam in the same show. While being in attendance, it would have been tragic. But Mr. Rock showed restraint, knowing that this man has multiple movie projects set up. He knows that his wife cannot watch her husband be beaten to death. I hope. And he knew that if I beat Will Smith, I'm going to go to jail and possibly be smacked by even bigger men with even bigger problems. The restraint that my client showed that he is the bigger man, despite being shorter, the better man, despite being less wealthy, and clearly the funnier man because he's a comedian Will Smith isn't. Mr. Smith did not show that restraint. He got up with rage in his eyes, rage disguised by tears, by the way, opened his hand and smacked my client across the face. The only thing that stopped Mr. Smith from repeatedly slapping my client was the fear that crept up his leg, knowing that if he had to get out of Chris Rock's presence and let him present that award, or it would have been some smoke in the city. Because we all know that Chris Rock is from Brooklyn, and Brooklyn don't do that shit. Do or die, bet style would it become true, and we don't want to see the Fresh Prince get hurt. Neither do I, and certainly not do you. I rest my case.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the arguments, you've heard the prosecution, you've heard the defense. Now it's up to you to decide, in the case of Smith versus Rock, who was right and who was wrong. So I direct you to the comments. We want to hear what you think about this situation that took place Sunday night. We want you to add who you think was in the wrong and who you think was in the right. And please give a reason. Give your reasoning why. We want to get your opinion. But in the meantime, and in between time, we want to thank you for listening and viewing the finale of season 3 of the Vicious and Delicious podcast, starring myself, the unstoppable Pleasure Palace coordinator, the player, mayor of the United States. No, I'm playing. But anyway, your boy Black Snow, and of course the SS of old Lord himself, the man of many monikers, Mr. Big Rob. We want to thank y'all for tuning in
Every week.
Every week.
couple weeks out.
Or every one you see it. You know how it goes. We want to thank y'all for tuning in. We want to thank y'all for watching, sharing, liking, commenting, all the good stuff. But in the meantime,
Before we go, I also want to thank my brother for coming through twice. I want to thank Beat Music and his man Mike Blade.
Mike Blade,
My man Donnell Cole and Damon Anthony Williams for being guests on the show this season.
Modern Manhood in the building.
Yeah. I want to thank all y'all for helping us continue to build the Pleasure Palace to a place that everybody want to be.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning into the early awards at the latter part of last year.
First annual, baby. See you next year.
Thank you for everybody who helped us donate toward to get a new laptop.
Yes, sir. Yes, still got some time.
Still got time.
Got a day.
Yeah.
Or 2 days.
Want to thank. I gotta be honest. I want to thank Will Smith and Chris Rock for giving us this material.
Yeah. Thank y'all for
making them
being real. Thank y'all for being
for
real.
a moment of black history. Yeah.
Moment of realness.
And don't barely leave. Will Smith won an Academy Award finally.
Yeah.
If there was ever a GOAT conversation, it's him. The most successful rapper of all time is officially Will Smith.
Right.
There's no question in that.
And shout out to, on the other side, shout out to Samuel Jackson.
For finally getting his own Oscar. Yeah.
Some kind of Oscar, even though he deserved that one for Pulp Fiction, but we'll take this Lifetime Achievement or honorary one in this case. But yeah, man, we just having fun with this topic. Everybody knows, y'all been on Facebook, y'all been on social media, been on Twitter. Everybody got an opinion about this subject. Me and Big Rob thought it'd be funny if we do like this sort of people's core opinion thing. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We're gonna do it again next time we get a chance and something like this pops up again. And it will probably.
Oh yeah.
But I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. We had a good time doing it, getting it together. But besides that, man, like I said, season 3 finale. It's 12 down, 100 more seasons to go.
Yeah.
It's 12 episodes down and 100 more seasons to go. But yeah, but in the meantime, y'all know what to do. It's Tuesday night. But the rules are still the same.
Avoid the booking, beloved.
By all means, hey, thanks for watching the show. Happy Easter.
Easter is coming up.
If we don't get back to y'all before then, we'll try to. What is Easter, like the first weekend?
Actually, it's the 17th this year.
Okay, so we got some time.
We got some time.
Well, Easter's coming, so y'all get ready for that. Yeah, man, appreciate your time, man. Remember, work on being a better you for tomorrow than you were today. Avoid the bookings.
Also, safe travels to you and your family for the next week.
Yeah, we're going on vacation for a little bit, man. Yeah. Wish us safe travels. We appreciate it. Man, y'all be good.
I'll be good at it, man.
This is Pleasure Palace on the move, baby, and we out of here. Y'all
Season 4 coming soon.